Hello, all you awesome people. Welcome and welcome back to Geek Visits Entertainment. I'm your host, as always, Hoover, and we have another edition of I Just Watched, where I'm going to be talking about DC's brand new rebooted Superman movie for the brand new rebooted DC universe. Superman 2025. Yeah, there we go. Formerly known as Superman Legacy. So I'm gonna do not as much of an in-depth review. This is just kind of me just going over a little bit of the story, what worked, what didn't work, things I liked, things I didn't like, any other little interesting tidbits and facts and things like that. But basically, this is just me yapping about the movie for the most part. So that's what we got here. If you haven't already, check out some of the other I just watched on the channel as well. I got Daredevil Born Again. I got Ironheart. I got Paradise, Invincible, The Thunderbolts, Captain America: Brave New World, Sinners. I promise you, we will get more non superhero Marvel shit on there eventually. But yes, feel free to check out all that stuff as well. In the meantime, though, let's kind of just go over Superman here, right? All right, Superman 2025. A lot riding on this movie, if I do say so myself. But yeah, so we're gonna start with a brief overview. I'll talk about the story for a little bit. I'll talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and just just general things like that. And then of course I'll just give my general thoughts on the movie at the very end. So all right, so Superman. Superman released on July 11th. It is currently still available in theaters. The movie was written by James Gunn. It was also directed by James Gunn as well. And the movie stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Skylar Gisondo, Wendell Pierce, Sarah Sampaio, I believe that's how you say it, Anthony Carrigan, Eddie Gethengi, Isabella Merced, and Nathan Fillion. Hold on, let me get my shit here. All right. Goddamn bitch. All right, there we go. All right, so Superman, let's talk about it. So when Superman, let's talk about a little bit of this general overview and the story of Superman. So when Superman stops a potential war, he inadvertently begins a political crisis, which gives Lex Luthor the opportunity he needs to finally work his plan to turn the people against Superman. Now, overall, I would say this is actually a great story that really does put Superman in the middle and challenges him in a very interesting way. I wrote but instead of put, so do me the fuck off. So my issue personally with characters like Superman, I had this issue with the very first Captain America movie too, way back when was I was wondering, how do you make such a morally good character interesting? That's always been my biggest question. Um and this movie asks that question and it answers that, and it does it in a really good way. The whole idea of turning the public against him and how how that's something his character can't combat directly, I thought was a really good angle to take for this movie. Also, the pacing in this movie is just like nonstop. I mean, from the very start, in the beginning, we get like a very small break in the action. And even with all that, it manages to balance itself really well with all of the supporting characters, Clark and Lois's relationship, and the main conflict, all balanced together very, very well. My One of my biggest issues, I know it wasn't just my issue. I think this was a sentiment I heard from a lot of people before the movie came out, was that there was a big worry about just how this movie was going to balance all of the characters in it, because of course you got Superman, you got Lex, you got Lois, you got Crypto, then there was the Justice League characters, the Justice Gang characters, Green Lantern, the Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho was in this as well. So it was a big worry about just how this movie was going to make it work and balance like all of that stuff in one. And I think this one handled it very well. Like I mentioned, there was a small little break at the beginning. Like even when you start this movie, you do technically start it in the action. We start right after Superman has a fight, and he's just taking a minute to kind of recover. And then he just jumps right back into it. So this movie is like has a nice, really nice pace to it that I found just very welcoming, very good, especially for consider fact. I think I think like with this, the Batman movie, also the Spider-Man Homecoming movie, and Fantastic Four First Steps. I think movies are really starting to benefit from avoiding a total origin story route, especially for legacy characters like this who are so well known that you kind of already know their origin stories. There's no need to tell it again. So I'm starting to feel like that really helps out in this as well. Um, all right. So yeah, so that's kind of my general thoughts on the story. It plays out really well. Has really nice pacing. It takes us to some very interesting locations as well. Um we aren't just we do spend a lot of time in Metropolis. But we also get we of course we go to Smallville. Um there's a I don't want to spoil too much. Granted the movie has been out for like damn near a month now. Actually, you know what? Yeah, it's been out for like a month. We'll get a little spoilery, not major spoilers, but we'll talk about some stuff. There's like a little pocket dimension that has a very interesting look to it. That's a dope look too. We got the Fortress of Solitude in here as well. So it takes us to a nice little locations, but not too many that it still kind of teases us. You know that it doesn't reveal too much of the world in general because it's still like this is just the first movie in the DC universe, so we still got a lot of stuff to show within this world. So the fact that they don't show off too much, I like that as well. Uh, but yeah, so that's about what I got. I got on the story here as well. Let's kind of move on to some things that I liked about this movie, which I'm not gonna lie, it's quite a bit. It's actually a lot. First and foremost, I gotta talk about it. Mr. Terrific. He stole the show. Give it up for the black man. Give it give it a round of applause for the black man. He stole the show. And I did hear that that very much was the case from a lot of the reviews and a lot of the outcry online when the movie came out. That he very much stole the movie and he's one of the top things on the movie. I very much agree. He stole the show. He was great. Um, I do want to talk about this a little bit. The actor, Eddie Gethanke, I think I'm saying his name correctly. You may remember him because he also played he played Darwin. He played Darwin in X Men First Class. This has been going around a lot too, but I do want to point it out because I do find it funny. He played Darwin in X Men First Class, who was literally his mutant power was the fact that he adapts to anything and he can't really die. And they kill him in the first 20 minutes of his introduction. The only black man on the team, by the way. The only black mutant on the team whose power is to adapt and not die is killed in the first 20 minutes. That was crazy. But it definitely seems like this is going to be a little bit of a redemption arc for him. Because he even came out in a report. He said that Fox, even though they killed him, he said Fox was told him that they were going to bring him back in the future, and it was gonna turn out that he didn't actually die, which is like his whole fucking mutant power thing, and they never did. So this seems like it's going to be a little bit of a redemption arc for him. He is, I believe, scheduled to make multiple appearances in this DC universe, and judging from the reception of his character and everything that happened in this movie, I'm not surprised that if we get a lot of Mister Terrific in the future. All right. Other things I liked in this movie. Performances. Oh, speaking of performances, as performances go, I also want to give props to Nicholas Holt. He was a great Lex Luthor here. I wouldn't say I was worried about him playing Lex in this movie. I mean, when the last Lex Luthor we got was fucking Jesse Eisenberg in the Snyderverse ones. You gotta hope you can't go anywhere. You can't go any lower after that. So it was like, hopefully he does good. But he did a fucking phenomenal job. Like some real, just like Division 1 hater shit. Like we had the whole thing of like Kendrick Lamar versus the Drake thing last year. uh Lex Luthor is now up there in like top haters with like Kendrick Lamar and fucking like Reverse Flash and fucking Timmy's dad when it comes to when it comes to fucking Dingleberg. Fairly Hot Parents. He's up there. But yeah, for performances, he was great. I love this Lex Luthor. Um, the music in this was very good as well. Like, I think it did a really good job of kind of what you want from your music. Ideally, like it never really stuck out too much, but it did enhance moments when it needed to. Like moments where you really needed to feel the scene, it did that very well, and it played that to its strength when it needed to do that. Speaking of that, um, this movie really plays the hope angle really well. Like I found myself rooting for this Superman in this movie. Like I felt like I think it's hard to explain. It's something that is kind of hard to explain, and I also feel like it's something that's also hard to pull off in a movie. But I felt it in this movie. I felt Superman being that beacon of hope and being hopeful in this movie. I don't want to turn this into which I kind of feel like it kind of has, simply because the fucking way the Snyderverse fans have been acting ever since this fucking movie got announced. But I do have to bring it up. Compared to Man of Steel, um, this does that worlds better than Man of Steel did. The hopefulness of this movie, making Superman a symbol of hope. This movie does that extremely well, way better than Man of Steel did. I can't even say Man of Steel actually did that for the most part. But yeah, this movie it does that very much so, and I loved it for it. Another thing I want to talk about too is that this movie definitely embraces its comic bookiness as well, which is another thing to. I feel like I'm just gonna turn this to a Superman versus Man of Steel thing, but it's another thing I feel like the previous Superman movie didn't pull off too well either. But this movie embraces its comic bookiness, if that makes sense. It's a comic book movie, and it never tries to deviate from that or act like it isn't. Like, bro, we had robot butlers, robot helpers with fucking capes on. Crypto, the super dog, with a cape on. We had teleporters, we had kaijus, we had nanites. It goes full into the fact that it's a comic book movie, and I love that. If you know, fucking like I love it. The whole like from this clip that's playing right now. Again, I was talking about things too spoilery, but like you know that old trope of like in like a sitcom when like a character is on a date and they're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I'm gonna talk to him. And then they do the whole shit where like they have an earpiece on and their friend goes to the date with them and they tell them shit to say. It even had a moment like that of like Lex calling out plays to the what they with the Hammer of Baravia during the whole fight. That too. That was great. I love it. I love that this movie does not deviate from the fact that it's a comic book movie. There is some goofy shit involved in these movies sometimes. Like the suspension of disbelief has to be there. Like there's some dumb, kooky, goofy shit in these movies sometimes, and it works, and it works well. And I love it if you embrace it. If you embrace it, it never feels like it's a weird and odd and goofy thing. You know what I mean? If you feel like it belongs and you truly make it belong in your world, it's going to belong. You know what I mean? And I love that about this movie, straight up. All right, let's talk about some things I didn't like. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not very much. I will say the post credit scenes weren't weren't really anything. There is a cameo that to me did kind of feel rushed and just thrown in. Um, it's like the one element in this whole movie that I felt like was one of those things that had to remind you like, hey, remember this is a movie that takes place in a cinematic universe and there are other movies coming. So we gonna throw this character in there to remind you like, hey, remember they got a movie coming in the future too. This is a character you might see in the future, so be on the lookout for that. I don't even want to say it. It's been a month. It was Supergirl. Supergirl pops up in there at the end. and it's like okay, because she's the next movie lined up in the DC in this universe. So that was just one thing that kind of just felt random for me. It was very now I will give it credit. They did leave a slight hint early in the movie, very early in the movie. The fact that Crypto might have another owner, that he might not be Crypto's original owner. So I did like how they did that, but it still felt a little rushed and a little thrown in there at the very end there. Another thing I want to talk about is actually that's it. That's about the only thing in this movie I would probably outright say I didn't like about it. The post credit scenes, which again, post credit scenes don't always have to be a tease and a setup for anything in the future and shit like that. Um, but I feel a little better if they felt like they were worth staying for. Superman, Fantastic Fours. We'll talk about that when I talk about my Fantastic Four review. But it was just that. All right. We got a future of the franchise option here because this one is very obvious. This is the beginning of the brand new DCU, the brand new DC universe. It will continue. We will be seeing Superman again. But when, for now, it is unknown. Like I mentioned, Supergirl does make a tease appearance in this. Supergirl is the next movie lined up. That's coming, I think, summer of next year, I believe. It's currently shooting right now. We know Supergirl's in it. We know Lobo's in it. Jason Momoa has been recast. He's Lobo. He's popping up in that movie. So yeah, we got that. Of course, like I said, this is the very start of this new DC universe. So of course we know we're getting more. How much? When? Don't know very much. We know we got a tease of Gotham. There is a street light, not a street light, a freeway sign in there that directs highway traffic to Gotham. So we know Gotham's here because we know we're getting Batman. There is that there is that little mural in the hall. There's also the Hall of Justice that the Justice Gang was hanging out in. So we know we got that exists in this world. And then there's a mural of like a bunch of like the world, the history of metahumans in the DC universe. So I think that's cool. So it's a lot left to explore there, which I like. Focus on just making a good, solid movie, and then throw small little things in there to kind of tease a bigger world. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go into this movie knowing you're doing another 5 movies and just go. So we gonna throw in this in this that. I mean, just gonna stuff in like now that shit. That shit never that shit never works. I'm sorry, but yeah. What else we got? Oh, some filmmaker notes. So I do want to put out the fact that Mr. Terrific had an action scene, and the way it was shot, and most likely edited as well, reminded me of like the Yandu rocket scene from Guardians 2. You know when they went to that security little security room, and Yandu had his arrow just going around killing all the Ravengers and shit. Where and the camera just kind of stayed in one position and swiveled around, and we kind of zoomed out. So that's how that fight was shot as well. And I thought it just kind of reminded me of that. So we might begin, maybe a little first instance of some James Gunnisms in the movie in terms of like a filmmaking technical aspect. So, but that fight scene was actually really cool. So yeah. But anywho, my final thoughts is that Superman is most definitely a triumph for the beginning of this brand new DCU. A fun and hopeful film that is filled with genuine heart. Rachel and David have good chemistry. While not amazing, both show that probably possibly with time it could be. Corn Sweat, Corn Sweat's Clark manages to stay in the center as other characters are all blended in a perfect balance. This movie really does find a great balance of its storytelling and its character arcs extremely, extremely well. Um, Holt and Gafengi really steal the show for me as Lex Luthor and Mr. Terrific. And then you add in just a good movie score with a fast paced story, makes this, in my opinion, one of the best. Actually, I would say makes it the best Superman movie since at least Donner was in the director's chair and Christopher Reeve wore the S. And yeah, well, like I said, I didn't want to turn this into a big ass, Superman versus Man of Steel thing, but yes, I think this is the best Superman we've gotten since at least the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. But yeah, so that's my thoughts, my deep sort of what I liked, what I didn't like about 2025 Superman. I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. Um, which is kind of funny thinking about the differences. There was this whole online discourse about you got DC starting off with Superman, and then you of course have Marvel releasing the Fantastic Four, both in the same month over the summer. So of course, online tribalism, online discourse, kind of pit the two against one another, trying to think who would do better, who win the box office, shit like that. But I think this is by the way, I'm recording this one. I've already seen Fantastic Four. I'll be recording that review a little later. But I thought it was really interesting watching this, not having too much hype behind it for me personally. Just really just kind of wanted to see how the new DC universe would go. This being the first entry, if it would be good, if it would be bad, if it would do well enough. And just kind of going in here with little expectations, how surprised and honestly blown away I was by just how well done this movie was, and I very much like it. So shit, I think this is a very interesting thing. I think I might do a separate little rant video talking about you know what DC could look like in the future and what that could mean for Marvel Studios as well. But yes, Superman is good. Superman is a damn good movie. So all right, that's my review for Superman. I just watched it. Not just watched. I watched it like 3 weeks ago now, but you know what I mean. So thank you all so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Superman. Where do you place it amongst the other Superman movies? If you want to go bigger in the DC movies, just in general, are you excited for what the future of the DCU holds? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a like, help your boy out, don't let the black man fail. Check out my other review. I got Ironheart that just came out. Like I mentioned, a bunch of other ones. Check out some of the news drops I got on the channel as well. Video game walkthroughs. We on all of it. We on top of all that. So anyway, that's it for me here today. Thank you all so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Till next time, always remember to stay watching, to stay playing, to stay awesome, and most importantly, to stay safe out there. Until next time, everybody, I will see you all later. Goodbye.